Welcome to Nick's NBL show, where we break down the latest NBL news and opinions that you won't find anywhere else. Let's get started.
Five takeaways from the last round.
Who would have predicted this ladder? New Zealand second, Cairns third, South East Melbourne and Melbourne outside of the top six. Sydney the clear early favourite. Can Cairns and New Zealand keep it up? Well, I hope so. It's been a while since they've been in the playoff mix, and it's good to have them back again. Maybe we'll see another Cairns and New Zealand Grand Final series. Brisbane finally got their first win of the season behind an Aaron Baines breakout 17-point, 14 rebound performance. It was good to see them going into Baines in the low post. I can't get too excited until they beat a team better than the Hawks though, although it might take a while. The Bullets play the Hawks again in round 5. Sydney Kings owner Paul Smith is well known for being outspoken. Last week he went on to radio to say this about the Adelaide 36ers.
These Adelaide 36ers, mate, they dead set think they're the Golden State Warriors. And I'm glad we're seeing them recover a little bit from their trip to the States, because I'd hate to have played them and kicked their asses and then saying that they were jet lagged or whatever. They should be fresh and ready, so we'll see what they've got.
His supporters have come out saying he's good for the game, and as an entertainment product, we need a villain, like professional wrestling. But for me, basketball isn't wrestling, it's real life. We don't need these owners trying to make the headlines. The on-court product is good enough to speak for itself. If you try and drum up fake controversy every week, eventually people are just going to ignore you and you become irrelevant. Let the players speak for themselves on the court. South East Melbourne Phoenix are finally healthy, and they got 2 wins last round against New Zealand and Brisbane. They're looking pretty dangerous right now, and they're likely to keep getting better the more they play together. This week they play Perth in Perth before returning home to take on Adelaide. If they can get these 2 wins, they should definitely be considered as finals contenders. I expect the game in Perth to be spicy, given it was the Phoenix who knocked the Wildcats out of the playoffs last season, breaking their 35-year streak. It looks like there could be an imminent import change at Melbourne United if these comments from Dean Vickerman are anything to go by.
You do need to change something with this roster at this point?
Yeah. I've been open. We're searching for a guy. We haven't found the right guy yet. I thought the shots JC had tonight is like, we were talking in the locker room. It's like, wow, if Jack White had every one of those kind of catches where he caught it and those takes at the rim and just were able to finish it, there were 11 kind of good shots. But he just hasn't been able to finish some of those over the length of people in this league.
Jordan Caroline's position has always been in danger ever since the injury to Ariel Hukporti in the pre-season. It is a bit unusual for a coach to be so open about replacing a player though. Think back to last season with Scott Morrison and with the Wildcats and the John Brown situation. He was really cagey about that one. It's nice and refreshing to see a coach so honest about it though. Although Vickerman's comments about how Jack White would have been better in that last game was a little bit weird, but it is what it is. Could this be damaging to the locker room? We'll just have to wait and see. Wildcats Corner. After starting the season strong with 3 straight wins, the Wildcats are now on a 2-game losing streak. The loss to the Jack Jumpers was the biggest franchise loss since the 2018 semi-finals loss to Adelaide. So what happened? The Jack Jumpers outworked the Wildcats. The Jack Jumpers out-rebounded the Wildcats. The Jack Jumpers out-Perthed the Wildcats. So what's next? Is it panic stations? I don't think so. It's just one game, and sometimes it's just not your night. It happens to everyone. Last season, Sydney lost big early in the season. United the year before. Both times those teams went on to win the championship. The Wildcats still have the talent to compete, and it's still early enough in the season that things can be turned around. The next round will be a big test. Nick's complaint of the week. If you know me, you'll know that one of my pet hates is the NBL broadcast cutting to the crowd after a made basket. It's jarring and it's unnecessary. I feel like it's a carryover from footy telecasts where there's a break between a goal being kicked and then the next set to bounce. In basketball, the game keeps going, so if you cut to the crowd, you can miss parts of the game. Tassie scores, cuts to the crowd, and then they've got the ball again. So what happened? Was it a bad pass or a crafty steal? We'll never know. While we're at it, what's the deal with a massive picture-in-picture box? It's okay during timeouts, but it blocks live play. It takes like a quarter of the screen. This is from the Cairns New Zealand game. It's showing Melbourne and Sydney warming up. It's not even from the same game. Here we've got an interview with Will Magnay from the sidelines. Again, it's useless. Why do we need to see a spy shot of Will Magnay when we can't even make out his face? If you're going to have an interview, just have the audio and maybe just an overlay of the player. And that's all the time we have for this show. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you haven't been to a game this season, I highly recommend getting out there. There's nothing like being at a live game. Thanks again, and see you next week.